Hello YouTube, it's Chris Harrier Pipes. This is my entry for the Artisan Pipe Maker competition for the YTPC 2024 Pipe Week. So I thought I'd, for those of you who don't know me or my channel, I thought I'd introduce myself, give a bit of my history, and then show you the pipe that I'm entering for the competition. So I started making pipes during COVID. I live in France. I used to live in the Alps. I've now moved to the Drôme. And I was a chef and I wanted to do something because I couldn't work. So I began learning to make pipes, very rudimentary pipes. After about a year of that, I felt confident to sort of start selling pipes, to just buy new materials and keep learning. But it was really quite ad hoc. I was figuring stuff out on my own. There was a lot of help, YouTube videos, for example, and people around that I could ask. So that was good, but it only took me so far. And I was making pipes part-time after COVID with a business which I called Wazo Briars. Since then, in the last 2 years, I've met Bruno Nuttons, and I've been fortunate enough a year ago to start an apprenticeship with him whilst making my own pipes and also working in the kitchen. So I had about 10 months where it was all sort of hands to the pump, but I've been learning from Bruno minimum 2 days a week for a year now. And it's been so helpful. Such a great guy, and shows how great the community is, particularly here in France. So in February of this year, I went full-time as a full-time pipe maker. Gave up my job, 2 days a week with Bruno still, and making my own pipes. And I moved nearer Bruno to make all of that happen. So that's where I'm at now. And the name of my business is Harrier Pipes. I feel my pipes are good enough for me to attach my name to them and really sort of own what I'm doing. So that's where I'm at, okay? Just so you have an understanding of my background and my journey so far. Okay, right, let's try and turn you around without making you all sick and show you this pipe. Oh, just to say as well, my plan for next year is to go to the Chicago Pipe Show, so I'm quite excited about that. This is the pipe I'm entering for the competition, and I'll talk about the process of making a pipe and the areas that I have to take care in when I'm producing something like this. I call this a long shank Dublin. And it's a shape that I've sort of come up with for myself. I mean, there are other stuff that look like this out there, but this is, I like Lovett pipes and I like Dublins, and I sort of put the two together and came up with this. And I thought it would be a particularly good pipe for the competition, and I'll go through the reasons why. So the first thing, obviously, to take care of before you start doing anything is checking the grain on the block that you've got. This came from a piece of plateau. I've left some plateau on the top of it. So making sure that when I make the pipe, the orientation of the grain is I'm gonna make the most out of that. Okay, so figure out the placement of the design on the block. And this one I was hoping to showcase some flame grain, straight grain. So there we go, all around the bowl and along the sides of the shank. So that was the first thing. Next stage is to move to the lathe. Let's try and stand it up a little bit. And so the process then is to turn the bowl on the lathe, get sort of a rough shape that you'd like, as close to the shape that you'd want. And then after that, drill the chamber. So that's the first sort of stage. Then turn the bowl and drill the, turn the shank and then drill the shank and the mortise that you're going to fit the stem into. So that's the first sort of stage. Obviously on a lathe, you can only get uniform sides. So you notice that this is going in, this line in and under at a different angle to this. I'll go into that later. You can't achieve that on a lathe, nor can you do any of this section here. So the bottom of the bowl, that all has to be shaped at a different point. So when you finished on the lathe, there's still a block of briar here. I'm just going through the process. I know that you probably know a lot of this stuff, but this is what it's like as a pipe maker from pipe maker's perspective when you're making a pipe. So once I've done that, I've decided there are elements that, part of the reason I've chosen this pipe is there are elements of different skills within the pipe, and also some features that require some serious attention, that are not as easy as making perhaps a different shape pipe. So yeah, that's the rough shaping of the bowl. Then I turn my attention to the stem. So I want the accent ring for this pipe is fitted to the stem, not to the shank. So first thing to do is to turn and drill a ring out of horn on the lathe, and then fit the rod, square off the rod, and get the diameters I want using the lathe for the button. All my buttons have the same diameter, and then obviously the diameter to fit the shank, and then we go from there. So that's all done, it's drilled, and then I make the slot after taking it off the lathe and fitting it to the pipe, which you can see inside is fluted for a good draw. So that's done by hand. After that, it's a question of filing down to make the saddle stem. So obviously details to pay attention to when making a saddle stem. It's nice when the front ring that you've fitted to cap off the the horn accent ring is the same width as the back of the saddle, and that the back of the saddle is uniform top and bottom and meeting at the same height in terms of meeting the saddle. So this requires a bit of care and attention to make the saddle. Then obviously work back, make the button, and obviously the button needs to be the same height, top and bottom, and a uniform shape. So those are aspects that I look at getting right when it comes to making a stem. Obviously as well with ebonite, scratches, any pipe maker will tell you that the scratches are harder to remove on ebonite than they are on acrylic. So you work through all the grits, making sure that everything and all the scratches have disappeared. Okay, so next is onto the French wheel. So you're now starting to refine the shape. Obviously, I didn't talk about drilling, but the reason I chose this pipe is to showcase my drilling. This is 10 centimeters from the back of the shank to the front of the bowl. So it's a good sort of 8.5 centimeter, 9 centimeter drilling, which is just under 4 inches for a few guys in the States. And it's important to get it bang in the middle, which you can see. So next I'm going to work off the remaining wood here and start refining the shape of the bowl. I do this on the French wheel. So things that I have to take care of here is uniformity, that I don't dip down into the shank when shaping and ruin this line, this top line. This needs to be straight and not wobbly, which is another reason I chose this pipe. And the same on the bottom. dead straight, no light getting through from the bottom of the bowl to the tip of the saddle. So that takes some care and attention. Refine the shaping on the French wheel, making sure that I've created nice lines from the shank to the top of the bowl and back in here as well to the top of the shank, so that you can see some flow. That's the idea. Right, so that's it, that's the rough shaping. Then it's going through the grits with the sandpaper, making sure that you've got no flat spots, everything's nice and round and elegant. I strive for elegance in my pipes, so getting the balance when designing a pipe between the width and height of the bowl, the width and length of the shank in relation to the bowl, and then of course the length of the stem to the stummel. All very important features when trying to make a nice elegant pipe. So then I go on to the staining and oiling process. So after all the sanding, I then add a dark base stain, allow that to dry, and then I work that back with the sandpaper to create the highlights that you can see. And then another aspect to what I do with my pipe making is I mix my own colours for the top stains. I like the idea of first of all having unique colours, sort of bespoke to me. It's interesting, it's fun to do, and it means that my pipes are my colours as well. So then the top stain goes on, and then the oil. So oiling's important to get a good shine. I've had my fingers all over this now, but if you remember at the start of the video, it was nice and shiny. I'll have to give it another wax. But oil's very important for creating the shine. The wax gives the final finish, but the oil gives the shine. So having good oiling techniques, very important. After the oil has cured with this pipe, I've done some sandblasting as well. So not only is it smooth, there is aspects of blasting to take all the crud out of the plateau and to accentuate the plateau. A good blast on the plateau really sort of brings it to life. And I've left this natural. There's no staining and no oil on the plateau. I think it creates a nice contrast to what's happened with the bowl in terms of staining and oiling. And then once you've done that, it's a case of bowl coating. I always put bowl coating in my pipes. I think it just adds to the finish. It helps the pipe when it's being broken in. We don't all smoke the same. But obviously if a client doesn't want a bowl coating, they don't have to have one. And then after that, it's the final wax and finish. Off to the photography cabinet and onto the website. So there you go. I just thought it would be nice if I not only showed my pipe but spoke about all the processes that I have to consider, such as the transition from bowl to shank, etc., and making sure that everything's uniform and as good as it can be. There we go. And that's what I do when I make a pipe. So this pipe, long shanked Dublin with saddle stem and horn accent and plateau, is my entry for the YTPC 2024 Artisan Pipe Makers Pipes competition. Okay, thanks for watching and good luck to everyone in the competition. All the best. Bye-bye.